we can do the minutes and get going on things. So I'll call this meeting to order. In honor of Lillooet, the village of Pemberton acknowledges we're meeting within the unceded territory of the Lillooet Nation. This meeting of the Board of Variance is being held virtually with all meeting participants attending via electronic communications to adhere to the provincial health officer's orders respecting physical distancing requirements as a measure to prevent the transmission of COVID-19. Board of Variance meeting members will be involved in and participate in the meeting virtually as they would in person. For those members of the public in attendance, please note that this meeting is a live webinar and is being recorded, and a recording of the meeting will be available on the village's website following the meeting. So first, can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, next is looking at the minutes from our last meeting. And recommend that the minutes be adopted as circulated. Any issues or questions, or can we have a motion to approve the minutes as recorded?
I'll approve the minutes as recorded.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor? All right. Okay, so we'll get started with the 1348 Greenwood Street application. So we're going to have Joanna Reese, the planner, present the report, and then we can ask some questions. Then the applicants, if they're here, can have an opportunity to speak. You can put your hand up if you want to at that point. We can ask questions. The board members will be able to ask questions of the applicants. Then we will see if there's any member of the public that wishes to speak, and they can put their hand up as well, and Gwendolyn will bring them forward. And then I'll take any last request to speak, and then after that the board members themselves will discuss and make a decision. So Joanna, if you can please start.
Good evening, Board of Variance. So I'll just be providing an overview of the staff report outlining the application submitted by Phil Harrison regarding the subject property located at 1348 Greenwood Street. The applicant is requesting variances to the front lot line, exterior side lot line, and rear lot line setbacks to facilitate the development of single detached residential dwelling. The following variances from section 11.1.4 of residential 1 R1 zoning of the zoning bylaw number 832 2018 are requested: to reduce the minimum front west lot line setback from 6 to 5 meters, a relaxation of 1 meter; to reduce the minimum exterior north side lot line setback from 4.6 to 3 meters, a relaxation of 1.6 meters; and to reduce the minimum rear east lot line setback from 5 meters to 3 meters, a relaxation of 2 meters. So the subject lands were previously referred to as 7456 Dogwood Street. Since then, the municipal address has been updated. Previously, they received a variance to the rear east lot line setback on July 22nd, 2015, to reduce the setback from 5 meters to 1.5 meters. But as per the Local Government Act, the variance no longer applies as construction did not start within 2 years of the date of the resolution. The subject lands, they have a varying topography with a large rock formation along the westerly front lot line. And the dwelling has been designed to keep the rock bluff intact along Dogwood Street and to position the entrance from Greenwood Street. The subject lands are designated residential in the official community plan and are zoned R1. And adjacent land uses are also residential. The Village of Pemberton zoning bylaw was updated in 2018. The minimum front yard setback was increased from 5 to 6 meters in the R1 zone, primarily to provide additional space for parking. And in response to public comments, the applicant submitted revised building plans on December 15th, indicating a reduced building height from the previous 9.5 meters to 8.84 meters. And I just want to mention, it's important to note that the digital renderings of the building were not updated. So they reflect the overall design intent of the application, but not the specifics of the revised building. Notice regarding this application has been mailed and hand delivered to all properties within 100 meters of the subject lands. And we heard some feedback from the public that neighbors that didn't have updated addresses with BC assessment had not previously received their notices. So that's why those properties were given hand-delivered notices to ensure that they were informed. To date, 6 letters from the public have been received. 5 were included in the agenda package, and 1 was received afterwards, which has been shared with the members of the Board of Variance and the applicant. The letters were unsupportive of this application. Moving forward, the Board of Variance has the following options for the variance requested: to approve the variance with conditions, or to reject the variance. Thank you, and please let me know if you have any additional questions for staff at this time. And the applicant will also is available to speak towards the application following.
Great, thanks, Joanna. You guys have any questions of staff at this point?
What was the reduction in height that you talked about earlier?
Yeah, so it was previously 9.5 meters and was
Yes.
raised to 8.84 meters. The maximum height in the R1 zone is 10.5 meters.
Right.
I did have a quick question about that height. When I looked at the plans on page 26, maybe I'll just share my screen. I was unclear. So this is the plans here. This says 10.2 meters. So I'm not sure if this is not the same measurement you're talking about in terms of the 9.5 or 8.84.
Yeah, so how the height is calculated, this is a sloped lot, so different faces of the building have different heights. The height is the vertical distance between the building grade and the roof. And in this case, it would be to the midpoint of the sloped roof. That would be the height. And then the building grade is the average levels of the grade adjoining each exterior wall of the building. So that is averaged between all of the walls of the building. So there are some faces that are higher than others.
Okay, so it's the average, or what you just said had to be under 10.5. So could it be that one side of a building actually is taller than 10.5, but because the average is less, then it's okay?
Yes, that could be the case. It's my understanding that none of the faces are above 10.5 meters.
Okay, in this case. Okay, thank you. And I had a question earlier about, I don't know if you're able to answer this at this point, but the difference in the street level to where on the west side to where the house would begin, or to the roof at that point, if that's something we know. I know it's not necessarily part of this variance, but I'm just curious of that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the setback there.
So yeah, the height wouldn't be measured from the street level. It would be measured from the building grade.
Yeah.
It's the southwest elevation height from the building grade is 8.34 meters, and the elevation would be 9.22 meters.
But from street level, like, because it's.
No, it would be measured from the building grade.
Yeah,
So
no, I understand that part. I'm just wondering if we know what the difference in elevation from the street level to, let's say, like one of these, the bottom point, or is that not something we have access to?
I don't know
Okay.
the street level elevation.
Okay. All right. Any questions from Al or Drew before we see if the applicant would like to present?
Nope, nothing for me.
Okay. So is the applicant interested in presenting? You can put your hand up. We can promote you to the panel. Okay, I don't see a hand, so I'm assuming.
There
Oh, there we go. Okay. So Gwendolyn, can you please bring Phil forward? And Phil, if you can unmute, we'll be able to hear you.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks. Just briefly before I start, I can answer that question, Nikki, that you had about the difference in the street elevations from one corner of the lot on the lower corner on Dogwood to the upper corner on Greenwood is quite a difference in grade. It's about 5 meters according to the topographic survey. So that just kind of gives you a bit of an insight to the challenges on this lot. And then it's another 4 meters to the top of the bluff from that. So so there's we're dealing with quite a difference in elevation and just around the lot, and then just the prominence of the rock that we want to build on too. I just want to thank everybody for their time with this in reviewing this application. I know it's a very prominent lot and in what's a very desirable neighborhood in Pemberton. So it's of no surprise that there's been some concerns and some letters with what we're requesting. And I appreciate the time these folks have taken to review the proposal and what we're requesting. And I hope I can speak to some of the concerns. It is a challenging lot. Unfortunately, because its location, we put it on the top of this rock bluff. No matter what we do, it's going to be very prominent. So we've designed a house that's not necessarily greatly bigger than many in the neighborhood. We're 1,650 square feet on 2 main upper levels, and then the lower level with the garage and entry is buried into the bluff. We've got we only have about 300 square feet of actual space, considered living space there. The rest is garage, mechanical, and crawl space on that lower level. So the challenge for me, for the client, was to design a house that really works for this site. So that delay that we had from our original application a couple of weeks ago has allowed us to take into consideration some of the feedback regarding the height of the house, even though we were within the 10.5 allowable height. So we wanted to definitely consider the neighbors' concerns in that. So we've done that by reducing the roof slope from a 212 to a 112, and also reducing the plate height of the floor to floor and the upper floor plate height as well. The rotating the house the way we have to take advantage of the views has done two things. It's given us a longer driveway, which makes the grade work better for the driveway. So obviously the access to this site is one thing, and then the views are the next. So you know, the intention is the reason we're requesting these setback variances is because we rotated it. Necessarily, these are at the extremes of the house, and we're not really requesting them in order to maximize the size of a house or to make a bigger house. It's just that we wanted to rotate the house more to make a reasonably sized house work for the lot in the driveway, which is orientated to the view. Rotating the house also means the faces of the house are not looking directly at the adjacent neighbors, and also the tallest side is not directly facing the street. So I think even though it's a fairly big volume, we've tried to create some interest with the smaller roofs that we've added around it. And we're not encroaching a huge amount into some of these, into the three requests we're making to the setback adjustment. The Greenwood side of the house, the north side, is the 3 meter setback we're asking for. That corner of the house is approximately 4 feet into that setback, which is only about 17 square feet of the corner of the house itself. It's not significant. It's not like we're putting the whole base of the house in there. And then we have a corner post of the walkway, the covered walkway that goes up to the suite that's approximately 4'6" into that setback, existing setback. And the neighbor I noted also has the upper neighbor on Greenwood also has a 3-meter setback allowance on the neighboring property there. So, so that east side deck, the one that encroaches to the upper neighbor on Greenwood, that's approximately 6'3" now into the existing setback, which is approximately 42 square feet of deck into that space. But the way we've located the house, we're still over 25 feet, 7.7 meters between the house and that property line. So we feel like we've done a lot to kind of make the building respectful of what's there. We did start designing this a number of years ago when there wasn't many houses there, but we still feel that it works quite well for despite it being very built up there now. And this is being one of the last lots there. I know there's also been concerns about well, I'll just finish off on that west side. The Dogwood side encroaches the least, and we're not. It's actually only the walkway and the walkway covered deck roof that a corner of the deck that we're asking for. We need the variance for. The house itself would fit within the existing variance. So it's just the extremities of it, and we've added that lower roof from an earlier design to get this access to the suite, which is sort of broken up that side of the building a bit too, because that was a fairly tall side. So we've added some additional roofs to make it a little more interesting and break up the height there. I know there was also some concerns about the road junction there. There's a bit of a blind spot where the bluff is. Actually, turning the house has helped us to. I don't think we're making that issue any more than what it is. And then also keeping the driveway to the northeast side of the property so that it's far away from the as far as it can be from the junction helps there. I know there's a lack of a sidewalk there, and there's some safety concerns, which obviously can be not necessarily for this meeting, but for the village to look at. There was also concerns about the spatial separation. Well, with the adjoining buildings, well, obviously we're within that. We've have to adhere to the building code, and we are a long way from that upper property on the Greenwood side, and the closest property down below on the Dogwood side, which we sort of overlook. We're within the setbacks and within the allowances for spatial separation. So, and then the intention of this 2-story structure on the bluff, we're going to be at the same height approximately as the buildings around the corner on Greenwood, that they will be facing each other sort of diagonally in their rear view, the view from this house to Mount Curry. That would be like 1352 Greenwood and 1354 Greenwood. So we'll be approximately the same height as those buildings, and it will overlook the neighbor at 7454 Dogwood, but that is a significantly lower lot as well. So we feel we've tried to do as much as we can to take into consideration some of the concerns, and I appreciate if you've got any other questions, I'll answer them as best I can.
Thanks very much. Drew and Al, I muted us all just because there was some background noise. So if you have any questions, please unmute yourself. And I can ask them of Phil. It doesn't sound like anyone has questions. Okay. Drew, if you do, you just need to unmute yourself. I know, I'm sorry, I muted you because there was music, some sound, and I don't know how to, I can't unmute you, I don't think.
There we go.
Hey, there we go.
Okay, so I'm listening on the west side. The only thing that's going in, that's invading the variant or beyond the normal setback is a covered walkway for the suite.
Yeah.
Is that correct? But it's not the whole building. It's just a walkway on one. I'm having a little difficulty reading the plans, but it seems like and that's because of the snow, right?
Yeah, we've got that covered walkway to the suite, and then there's a little deck in front of the suite, so it just catches the corner of that covered walkway as it goes around the house, and the corner of the little deck as you enter into the suite.
And the that side, the variance on that side is taking it. Can you just refresh my memory? It's going from where to where?
So that one is going from the 6 meter setback to the 5 meter setback.
6 to 5. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's
Okay.
this corner here, if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's good. That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. That's most helpful.
So it's this
Okay.
part here that, can I just verify that's the part that sticks out into the
That's right.
west?
Yeah, that's correct.
Right.
Any questions for me, Al?
I think that the house fits within the setbacks, and then we just have these huge big decks all around. And
Well, I think to clarify, the north corner of the house is not within the setback. That part of the house is outside of this, is into the setback, I guess you'd say. Whereas the other three, yes, it's the house is within, but the decks are not. Is that right, Joanna?
It's the other two. So yeah, the north, the
Or not? Yeah. Yes.
setback, and then the west and east, it's the deck.
Right, because the south is fine as it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if we have no other questions, then thank you, Phil, for your information, and we will put you back into as an attendee. So we have, is there anyone else, public attendees that would like to give any feedback or make a presentation at all? If you would like to, please put up your virtual hand. Okay, we have Jay Robertson. So Gwendolyn, can you bring him in? Thank you. Okay, Jay.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Hi, so I live in the lot adjacent to the lot in question at 7454 Dogwood. So, I mean, just as sort of a general principle, it seems a little, kind of baffling to me to go through the motions of, designing an entire home that doesn't fit within the existing setbacks. And this is kind of resulting in a home that, is a little, due to the rotation of it is a little awkward and kind of doesn't necessarily fit within the kind of, character of the rest of the neighborhood. So you kind of end up with this kind of nice line of houses, and then all of a sudden you have a house kind of turned on a 45 that's kind of pushing the setbacks and creating significant overlook to the properties to the south of it. So that's kind of my kind of general concern with the design and the kind of reduction of the setbacks. And then kind of personally, the reduction of, I guess it would be the west setback from, which is currently 5 meters to 3 meters, will cause that south-facing deck to kind of look directly into my backyard and my neighbor's backyard as well. So I'll actually kind of go out onto my back deck and kind of look up and kind of see the neighbors kind of peering down at me, which is kind of unfortunate. So, I mean, I think that's kind of the biggest negative impact on my home directly, but I think just in general, it's kind of unfortunate that, you know, setbacks would be reduced simply because, you know, the applicant kind of feels that that would give them the best view. I mean, I've designed a number of houses in Pemberton, and it's, you know, it's tough. The setbacks aren't always where you want them to be, but it's not that hard to kind of come up with design solutions that kind of take into account and kind of take advantage of the site and respect zoning bylaws. And yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I was about to mute you.
Feel free. Feel
yeah.
free.
Do you guys have any questions or anything else for Jay?
No, I don't.
Okay. We still have a moment to after this to discuss further. Okay, thanks very much, Jay. Anybody else of the public like to speak? We have one other person here. Okay, yes. Can you bring in Ms. Napier?
Yeah, hi, you can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm Tracy Napier. I live at 7445 Dogwood Street. And yeah, I wanted to concur with Jay about some of the general design concerns with this. It feels like, you know, I can appreciate that that's definitely a tough lot to build on. However, it doesn't really seem as though the design is attempted to work with the tough lot. It feels like it's in some ways exacerbated the problem. The main floor elevation looks like it's actually proud of the existing maximum height on the lot. Like it rises above the top of the tallest rock for the main floor and then goes up from there. And while I understand it's within the permitted height under the zoning regulation, the overall design is really pushing the boundaries of the site as evidenced by their need for a board of variance. So it feels, you know, when you buy a lot like that, it feels like it's incumbent on you to do your best to work with the constraints, not work against the constraints. I guess I also just wanted to mention 6 letters from the community seems like a significant response. I would guess that probably most applications don't see that many. I could be wrong, but you know, that seems like a lot of neighbors raising concerns. And let's see. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, looking at it from the point of view of Dogwood Street and from the point of view of the public park, you know, the issue that Jay raised in terms of sort of overlooking into the lots from that park across the street, it's going to look like an office building, the height of this. And, you know, anything on that lot's going to look tall. But again, I feel like the house is actually designed to sit taller than the tallest existing point of the grade. You know, I think it's incumbent on the designer to try to work better to fit a house onto that site that doesn't push the limits as much as this one. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Drew, I'm sorry I muted you again. Your dog was barking, but do you guys have any questions? You're still muted, Drew, so you're going to have to unmute yourself. Otherwise, I won't hear you. Anybody have questions for Tracy?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so that is all the public we have. So we will move on to discussion amongst ourselves. Anybody have any questions for staff after what we've heard, or would like to open the discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to just have a point of clarification. Most of the issues coming in from the neighbors is about the height of the building.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that we're gonna help that matter much. I haven't got a good feeling either way on this thing right now, but I'm just trying to get clarity that by changing the setbacks, I'm not sure that the height's gonna be changed unless the owner
Yeah, I think,
chooses.
yeah, I think the point here is that the variance is for the setback. If they were to build within their setback, there's no variance required and they can build as high as the building
Yeah,
bylaw
yeah.
allows. But here they are asking for a variance for setback. And I do
Fair
think
enough.
while the height is not part of the variance, it has an impact to the reduction of setback as to how big and looming it is. So I think while it's not the issue of this variance, it definitely has relevance.
Right. Yeah, that was, I agree. I agree. Sorry, carry on. The only, I mean, the only area where I am sensitive is the reduction from 6 to 5 on the front. Obviously, this was a rule change after the lots had sold, so I am somewhat sympathetic to that. But by and large, I really don't see any hardship in this application. I think that the covered stairs for the suite, you know, I think that could be accommodated without having the setback. So it's kind of the only setback I am favorable towards is the 6 to 5 on the front.
Mhm. I would agree. I feel like this, I mean, you could build a smaller deck and you wouldn't need to poke out. You could turn the house a bit, make a smaller house. I think there's a lot of other options to, if you want this orientation, to make a house fit within the setback. And it's, I think I counted as 3,600 square foot plus a 500 square foot suite, unless that was part of it. I'm not sure, but it does feel like
3,600 total is my calculation.
Oh, okay. I saw plus a suite, but anyway, either way, it's a large house
Okay.
that is spilling over its edges. And again, I agree. I don't see a hardship. The view, yeah, it's nice to have a nice view, but I think you can still accommodate that with a slightly smaller house that would fit even at that orientation within the setback. Smaller deck, a slightly smaller corner. So yeah, I personally don't see the hardship here. Al, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. It's just, it certainly, with the variance, it certainly makes some beautiful decks, but I think it does encroach on the neighbors' privacy as well.
And even, you know, Drew, thinking about the 6 to 5, you know, the intention of that was to, you know, more parking and, you know, but it's not like this house was ever going to have parking there. Like it's got a massive hill there. So whether they can be just on the edge of the hill or further back on the cliff, I feel like it did change while they bought it, but I also don't, I feel like they can still accommodate without that setback,
Sure.
you know.
Fair enough. Yep.
Personally. Okay. All right, well, does anyone want to make a motion around this? We can approve with conditions, or we can reject.
I would make the motion that we reject the application.
Okay.
I'd second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Just to clarify, it would be like to reject the variances, not the application.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the motion is to reject the variance.
Yes.
Okay. And a second on that?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, so motion is passed, the variance is rejected. Okay, any new business? It doesn't seem like there is. Anything from you, Joanna? No?
No.
Okay, and then the next meeting will presumably be in the new year with the new board. So thank you, Al, for your long service, as has mine ended,
Yes.
and Drew's soldiering on to continue another term. So good luck to you.
Yeah, and just on that note, I just wanted to say thank you to all of the Board of Variance members. for the last 3 years and for the past year. I think this year we had a record number of Board of Variance applications and meetings at 6 meetings. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys volunteering and everything you guys do to make this board possible. And yes, I'm looking forward to seeing Drew next year, and big thank you to Nikki and Al.
All right. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Joanna.
And,
Thank you.
continues growing.
Yeah, good thing. Okay, can I
so
move to
have a
adjourn?
motion? Yeah, I'd like to motion to adjourn. Drew? All right.
I-
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Good night.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.